Tomorrow we're releasing an ebook. This is a book, if you remember about a year ago, there was a book that Pat read and about 4 or 5 people on the staff read. It's 6 novels. And we were reading it for, I don't even know, about 6 months. And we kept going on the air saying, we're reading this book. We'll tell you about it later. But we're reading this book, and we can't tell the difference between fact and fiction anymore because it's all happening. This is a series that was written by Chris Stewart, a friend of mine, about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, the first one I think he wrote in 2001 or 2.
Yeah,
2001, 2002.
I kept telling Kevin, who runs Mercury Inc., the publishing arm of the company, I said, you're going to get this out because pretty soon it's going to be a history book. And it is shocking the way this, I mean, it's right on the money. And it's called Wrath and Righteousness. But I didn't want to have it come out over 6 years because I don't know, 6 years. So what we decided to do is we edited it down and we took these 6 books, these 6 novels, and we made them into ebooks that will now come out over the next 12 months. And so you'll be able to get them once a month. We tried to make it into episodes like a TV show, but you don't.
Yeah. That'll be cool too because it seems like when 24 was on, I always used to hate the end of the season because you wanted to know what was coming up next. This way, like you're going to get all of it in.
You get it 1 year.
Yeah. That's
so
cool.
I mean, one of the things that we talked about was should we make this a television episode, a television show, but the cost to do it and to do it right were just prohibitive for us at this point. And so we decided, well, wait a minute, why don't we write this as if it were a television episode? And that way people can go and read it. This comes out tomorrow, ebook only. I don't think anybody's ever, I think it's in the Wall Street Journal today.
Yeah, there's a story about it, yeah.
I guess it's something that nobody's ever tried to do. Put them out in episodes like this. Don't know if it will work, but this is a book that is wildly entertaining.
It is incredibly good. You're going to love it. I mean, you will be obsessed with it. We certainly were, weren't we?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's all we thought about.
Everybody
for weeks.
Yeah, everybody that read it on the staff, because I just kept bringing in copies. I'm like, read this, and gave it to everybody on the staff. No matter what their background, no matter what they thought, no matter their age, all of them were addicted to it. By book number 2, you're absolutely addicted to it. And it's like 24. And it is as good as 24 was in the original episode. But the amazing thing is, on this one, is it's true. A lot of this stuff is really happening now. And you see how volatile the Middle East is and how fragile the United States is. You want to see what Occupy Wall Street really looks like in the end? Wait until you read this. Wrath and Righteousness. Warning, it reads a little like, in some ways, like Left Behind, wouldn't you say?
Kind of.
A little bit. But it's an amazing book.
We came to know the author pretty well, Chris Stewart, during the course of this thing. And we'd ask him from time to time, what about this group in the book? Is that real? Oh, yeah, it exists. What about this situation in the book? Is that real?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that happened.
Now, you
can't believe
the
things he has in this book. It's amazing.
He's a military, he's got a military background, and he's now running for Congress. And this I've been saying for a while, I don't want him to run for Congress because I tried to hire him here because I think the knowledge that he has in his head should be heard. I think people need to know what he knows. I think people need to know and see what he sees as possibilities. Now, again, this is fiction, but a lot of this stuff in it is happening and is real and is a real possibility. You won't be able to tell the difference. You'll watch the news, and this happened to every single person that I gave this book to as we were going through it and testing it. Every single person would say to me, by book 2 or book 3, I'm reading the newspaper, I'm watching TV, and I'm like, wait a minute. I have to push myself out of the book to be able to tell the difference between fact and fiction because it's so unbelievably similar.
Sounds like a powerful experience. I mean, it almost seems, Pat, like he's saying that a book can change things. When if you were to read a specific book, it could
and you might
completely
become obsessed with it.
It might become
and it might.
He used the word.
It might skew your way of thinking a little bit.
He used the word addicted several times as he was talking about this.
Hate
book.
that to happen for like some sort of Nazi scenario.
Yeah, oh gosh, that would be crazy. Who would do that?
Yeah, well, you better guard against that as you read that book. Wrath and Righteousness. It comes out ebook only.
Well, I'm reading this book, and at one point, I think it was like the third book. You remember which one it was?
I have no idea.
No, I didn't. There was like the third book, I think. I actually sat up in bed because I heard those things and these warnings, and I broke out into a cold sweat. I know the author, and I said I have to call Chris, and I didn't know him. And so I called somebody back in New York, and my wife was in the other room. You're not doing work, are you? No, honey. Somebody find Chris Stewart's phone. So I called Chris.
Hey, can I say something here?
Yeah.
So I get a phone call and she goes, hey Chris, this is Glenn Beck. And I go, right.
He said, right. I said, I don't know if you know who I am. And he went, yeah, I know who you are. And I said, well, I'm reading your book. This is the most incredible thing I've ever read. Who has the publishing rights for all of this? And we talked about it, and he has rewritten it to make it for a mainstream, your evangelical flock will love it. I've run it through all the evangelical friends I have. Would you read this? Does it sound too Mormonish to you? And because it's God that is telling us these things, and He speaks through the multitudes. And so we are going to be releasing all of those as a series. They said, okay, Glenn, well, we can publish these now. And look, we have 5 years to publish. And I said, really? In 5 years, they'll be history books. And so we're publishing them electronically, starting, I think, in June. And they're coming out, what is it, every 4 weeks? They're coming out in sections. Do you even know this yet?
4 to 6 weeks, I think.
Yeah, every 4 to 6 weeks they're coming out almost like a serial. They're not coming out in novels, full novels. A serial to try to get people to read them, and it'd take a year for people to read them, and I hope. I mean, it really sucks because it's a story of an EMP going off, so if you get halfway through, the EMP goes off, and you're like, oh crap, now I don't know how they got out. But I did my part, okay? I did my part. So I brought Pat out because I'm a good friend of Chris, and I couldn't ask him any hard questions, but Pat's only hit me. It is fun to sit between the two happiest guys on earth, though. One thinks the world's going to end tomorrow, Chris thinks the day after tomorrow. You should have seen it. The first time Chris comes to my house, I mean, he doesn't know what to expect. And we're sitting in my apartment.
Wait, are you sure you want to say this?
No, I won't tell your part. And I said, Chris, just so you know where I'm coming from, and I stand up at the windows, I think all these people are toast. It only went downhill from there.